Good morning. Welcome to Investigator News, and I'm your host, Ellie. And boy, uh, look at what's going on today. Oh boy, we have the Democrats are having a big fit. And what are they having a big fit over? Is well, they're going to meet today and discuss litigation after dozens of migrants are flown to Martha's Vineyard. Yep, they got a whole lot of people, huh? A whole, what is it, 80? Um, and but they're upset about it, and they're being flown onto Martha's Vineyard, and got a lot of people's attention. But Governor DeSantis and Abbott, and they're defending their move to fly migrants to this ritzy sanctuary communities, and bus loads right to Kamala Harris's doorstep, basically. And they all knew it. They knew where the buses were going to be taken to. They've been told for almost a year. And they went ahead and they bussed them there. And now there's a little bit of people getting upset over this. And so today, the White House officials are going to meet today to discuss a range of responses, including options to counter these migrant transports, which California Governor Newsom says it's a form of kidnapping. And writing in a letter today to Merrick Garland, saying he urges the Department of Justice to investigate alleged fraudulent a type of kidnapping, and support the charges of kidnapping under the state laws. And now, before the big meeting today, the big guy is blaming Republicans of political stunts. We're committing to fixing the immigrant system instead of working with us on solutions. They're playing politics with human beings and using them as props, they say. And what they're doing is simply wrong and un-American. It's reckless. It's could cause issues with the locals. They have not been checked out. They have not been. They don't know who they are. Boy, doesn't this sound familiar? Um, Everything that we've been saying. Um, Poor Martha. Yeah, she's just a rolling. I tell you, poor Martha. So after two Texas buses out of Del Rio dropped 101 migrants outside the Vice President Harris's home, that's the Naval Observatory, and basically that's when things started moving in Washington. Now, of course, I wanted to get the good stuff, like what are they saying at the Capitol? Oh, they're fit to be tied over this one. They're mad, and they're saying everything that we have claimed, that there's too many. We don't know who they are. They aren't checking these people out. We don't know if they're sick or they're coming in sick, and what do we do with them sick? Uh, to it's these could be criminals. Um, and that's what they're all, they're just a going, they're just a going at the Capitol. And it's mostly the women. The men are just walking around with straight face, they say. And so yesterday, um, I'm just going to say I think they're just a bunch of hypocrites at this point, led by a hypocrite chief who has been flying plane loads of migrants across the country in the middle of the night and dropping them off, because and I know this happened because it happened here. And because they thought we were a sanctuary city, but we stopped it. But we went ahead and kept them anyway. Well, what it did is we didn't know about it, and the state was calling church after church to see if they could help. They ended up at Christian Charities because I called them, and it was mostly women and children. They said they couldn't take the men in. Um, and they were very angry. They weren't let know. They were cut. That nobody let the state know that they were sending us a couple planefuls in the middle of the night. And their response was, well, we'll send them during the day. So, we're sending them during the daytime, nighttime, morning time. And, my thing is, why don't we just open up that nice big lawn area of Obama's and put them there? we have to. I want to thank these people that are having to bust these illegals because they don't know who they are either. They don't know if they're sick. They don't know what they could be sick with that they could catch. You see the bus drivers climbing off, and some of them have masks, some don't. Uh, and not only that, but um, Del Rio is ground zero for illegal crossing, and they've had nearly 50,000 encounters in July alone. Whereas Martha's Vineyard, um, they don't have no problems whatsoever. In fact, they even have low crime rate there. But um, um, boy, the administration at this point, I was saying, well, it's a tit for tat, maybe, and that's what they're claiming. Until I seen something, and it was a Secretary of Homeland Security, and you know who he is, Maorkas. Well, he happened to hold and been holding private meetings with border activists linked to a liberal mega donor. Guess who? George Soros. And just before basically dumping a whole bunch on the border, all of a sudden these little protesters show up on the Texas border to make sure nothing gets out of control, they say. The meetings occurred since August, the beginning of August, and promoted by Biden administration to temper news of a recorded breaking monthly crossing. Um, Mayorkas admitted that America was losing the war against illegal immigration, so he went to someone that is really good at solving problems, and that would be George Soros. And a couple days ago, um, the borders, you know, don't even look like a border of this country. It looks more like a bunch of homeless people. And now even um, the hundreds of migrants going to these cities, um, they're saying that they're sleeping on the streets. They're homeless now. They thought they were going to come and get work. They were going to get a car, a place to live, and now they've been lied to. They say. And the meeting that was going on was also included with Laura Pena. She's a legal director at the Texas Civil Rights Project, a director with Hillary Clinton in 2008. They're in everywhere. They put people in everywhere. That's why we keep hearing it over and over again. Another high profile figure uh, was Jennifer Harbury. She's a co founder of the group Angry Tias, um, and she was once married to a Guatemalan Marxist guerrilla, Velasquez. Judicial Watch has obtained records of Mayorkas' trip and filing the Freedom of Information Act request, and documents include background information on local officials and judges. And when I read that, there's not, when I read that, um, there, of Mayorkas and them looking into who's doing what and who's sending kids. Um, why don't they look into their own party, or why don't they look into other things besides wasting our tax money on going after Republicans just because they're shipping immigrants all over? Why don't they help the immigrants instead of spending the money they had for them for the border? They spent the money. So um, I think it's going to be a big blow up at the White House today. I really do think so, unless they block everybody out. And so the Biden administration uh, is considering a litigation against GOP governors sent to the Democrat cities. So he's going to punish them. And I'm thinking, well, what are they going to punish them with? They can't do sanctions against GOP members. Uh, and come to find out, some of them are even being raided by the FBI. And so the meeting this morning includes officials with Homeland Security, the state justice and defense departments, and all they're going to discuss border issues and record number of migrants entering the state illegally. The meeting was scheduled before uh, DeSantis sent two charter planes full of migrants to Martha's Vineyard. So it's going to be interesting to see. Boy, I was wondering where that noise came from. I think I jumped. Um, um, that spooked me for a sec. I thought it was haunted. Halloween's coming up. I'm getting squirrely. Um, um, you know, they say Republicans are playing politics with human beings, and they're using them as props, and they're simply wrong. It's reckless. I've told you that already, but that's what they're claiming. And so what they want to do is they want to punish them. Now, how would you punish them? Are they going to take their pay away? Well, the whole thing DeSantis and Abbott is saying, and how do you guys feel on this? Um, in my chat room, is it a tit for a tat? I mean, you look at this and um, don't don't be angry at the Democrats. Look at it as a whole, as a juror, and think on this. Is it a tit for a tat, or you have to look at all the facts, because now these Democrats did claim they were a sanctuary city, and that they were going to take um, illegals, and they would take care of them, and they had places for them, and they had all the organization and social programs. Because see, this is what Martha Vineyard says they don't have. They don't have the social programs for them to be sent to the state. Well, they are a sanctuary city, though. They do have a sanctuary city there. So to me, I'm agreeing with quite a few journalists now this morning that are saying, you know what, when you say you're a sanctuary city and you're willing to take in, all of them, and then you gripe when you get them. And the only thing, and what's really bad is even when you ask um, the illegals coming across, um, if the border is closed, they will tell you no, it's open. That's why they came. Um, yeah, the double standards, and the thing about this, though, folks, is Biden said this is the first time that he has seen the GOP put their foot down and get stern and get very angry at the Biden administration over this. And not only that, but they're getting a lot of phone calls to different, like Lightfoot, and those that are griping about taking these illegals in. Now, I'm going to have to say I do not agree with sending them to Chicago. I don't. That is a very dangerous place, and these are people just trying to come here to start a new life, and they got lied to. But don't send them to a city, a family to a city that is having shootings, and gang members don't care if they shoot a child, uh, a teenager, or a full-grown adult, or grandma and grandpa. They don't care. So that I don't agree with Chicago. I think enough is in Chicago. There's plenty of other sanctuary cities. Um, California's got quite a few of them. LA, Sacramento, I think even Stockton is taking them in. Um, but see, now they've got a homeless problem in California due to all of the illegals going into the state. So we're going to have to wait and see, but I can't see how they're going to punish them except for take pay away. Maybe they'll take away their lunch card or something, because I can't see the punishment. But Biden's a pretty smart guy. Yeah. I think they'll come up with something, or Susan Rice or Obama. But the thing that got me was they went to Soros to keep this going. And the other thing that is happening, folks, with these protesters, because this group of protesters show up at any protest, they're paid to do that, um, is coming up in November. And I'm just very worried, because the more I travel around to these foundations, the more they say the day after, that's it. If we don't win, the day after, and they're calling for an uprising. I hope they don't do it. I hope they don't. When they said the night of rage and everybody said, oh, that's it. They're going to do it on 4th of July. No. And I disagreed. I said, no, I think it's in November. And it might not even be till 2024. We don't know. But they have enough of them and they are working themselves up. In fact, one of the guy, I think his name is Anderson, that was at January 6th, and he is um, kind of a he's he kind of hangs out as a little mascot, or he runs around tries to run around and pretend like he knows politicians. Well, he was part of, if you remember, during January 6th, there was a part of the crowd that kept pointing at certain individuals saying, Antifa, Antifa. Well, he was one. Well, when you go to his site and you look it up, they are calling for an uprising in November. They're calling for everybody to get together, and they said there is going to be a night of rage like we've never seen before. So they are plotting and they are planning, and I hope they chicken out. So, all right, we're gonna move on. Chuck Schumer. Oh boy, I love this story. Just when you think you're whispering behind somebody's back, they find out. He spoke a little too loudly, and that's Schumer. And he was overheard talking about Nancy Pelosi. And I thought they were buddies. With the November coming up, many have speculated the Democrats will lose the majority in the House. The opinion has recently been supported by Majority Leader Schumer. And he was heard of privately telling a group of senators that House Speaker Pelosi is in trouble. Now, I heard in trouble and out of her mind. Okay, that's coming from the people that I know that are there. And that's what they said. Now, the news is only saying that Nancy Pelosi is in trouble. Now, Schumer was overheard making these comments at a Monday night dinner at Trattoria Alberto, a very popular Italian restaurant in Washington, D.C., where lawmakers often dine. Um, During the dinner, Schumer let loose to a whole range of topics, and he spoke loudly. And it was mostly about Nancy Pelosi. And it was a type of, um, let's see, I heard it is a bad tongue, a bad, horrible rumors. He spoke too loudly. There was a bunch of stuff I heard. And he said Pelosi's in trouble. And he said, according to what he has, that um, there were a 60% chance that they hold the Senate and a 40% chance they hold the House if midterm election was happening at the moment. Boy, I hope I don't get hit for that. Schumer's doubts that the majority will take that. He said he quoted it, and now he's starting to take it back, and he just doesn't think there's a win happening. But Nancy Pelosi is using poll numbers or numbers, he said, that aren't true, and they are a lie. Uh, Pelosi, she said she was in 12 cities, 12 days, and they're ready. Um, and then he laughed and said, what 12 cities? Because she doesn't go on a campaign trail. So, and then so who was at this dinner? You guys are going to be, let's see if I can find him. Um, and other things were said about her drinking. That was brought up, and amongst the guests, the different people that were in this group. So it wasn't just Schumer that was talking about Pelosi. It was some of the others. And so basically, uh, Schumer also criticized Manchin at the same time. They say in the same breath he did Pelosi. He threw a Manchin in there too. So who is Schumer to talk so badly about people? And he said they lie. He said that 15 million of campaign funds we're going towards the Senate races and they're not even trying, and that Nancy Pelosi just kind of gives them the okay that they can do that. Um, and the it's funny to hear of here I had some of my own friends out there that are hearing this, and they're not hearing it at the restaurant, they're hearing it at the Capitol, and they are turning on each other. I'm trying to get back up. Okay, so who was there at the dinner? Well, Chris Coons, Tom Carper, Mark Kelly, Chris Van Hollen, John Hickenlooper, and Dick Durbin. Now, Dick Durbin, I say plays a dirty politics. Um, and where I know how Dick Durbin is during Russia, because he had made at least a dozen trips to Ukraine in between 2009 and 2016. And he was always there whenever they were talking to the past presidents, the ones that were crooked, the oligarchs, the ones that were hurting people. They were, and they took the money. They took the country's money. And Dick Durbin was over there a lot, trying to talk to him, as well as Leahy, um, 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 Lindsey Graham, Gobicher, the lady. She was over there a lot. So was Liz Cheney. A bunch of them were over there, especially during 2016, during the Russia. And then, of course, when they come back, then we would get lots of leaks. But it's been a long time since that. But I don't trust Dick Durbin whatsoever. Um, so now we have, well, we have uh, let's just poke at the EV again. It's not really EV, electric vehicles. This time it was solar panels. Now we are now starting to get more and more reports of the heat in the Arizona, New Mexico, even they say as far as even Florida, that are putting these. They spend in between 30 and 70,000 to put panels on their roofs that are catching on fire. Um, and so, of course, that's not kosher. But now they found out that there's this woman that she was definitely going to do something to cut her electric bill. So she put 73,000 of solar panels on the roof. And then all of a sudden, and she's in Vegas, and she said, and she even had to jump through hoops to get more than needed of solar panels on her roof. And basically, um, her power bill dropped only $13. And of course, what they were telling her is it would drop it in half or to 80%, maybe even 90%. Well, she said it went up as high as $200 more a month now. Uh, and then when she looked to see her credit, it was only $13. So her bill went up over 200, and she said that was outrageous for what she's normally has to pay. And so she said, with no source of sunlight during the fall and winter, now she's wondering if she just got scammed. And she said she's incurring all the costs of the power bill, and all the cost of having to get a loan and having to pay for the loan. And she said already one of the panels had cracked, and she don't know how. And she's realized the solar is a setup, and it's not under trees. She says it's working properly. She's contacted the company uh, plenty of times to maybe move them, or what should they do. And however, they're blaming each other for the mistakes. They said she don't know how to use it. They went out and showed her again, and she's doing everything the same way. So um, so now she feels very jilted. She feels very scammed that these didn't work. And now she says uh, there's sometimes that she goes out and it almost looks like they're smoking. and she doesn't understand that. Um, so now, yesterday I think it was the wind generators. Today it's the solar panels. And what do you do when it's cloudy out? What do you do if, like the northern people, where they have snowfall almost every day for 2, 3 months? Uh, where is their power going to come from? You know, and I think she has that same concern, even though she's in Vegas. So, are they working? She says no, not for a $13 credit when her bill went up over uh, 200 above. And if I didn't explain that right, I'll explain it. 200 above her regular bill. So it increased 200 and she got a $13 savings. Wow. Boy, you could get real excited about that. Uh, yeah. Oh my goodness. So, is it worth it? I don't know. I guess it's if you live in a sunny place, then yeah, it could possibly work, but not for a $13 savings when your bill uh, went up $200 above what it normally is. It's fallen apart. Like I said, I think yesterday that the green deal is falling apart, and it is. It's definitely falling apart. Other countries are asking the same thing because they have fog and rain and a very long winter months. And what are they going to do? Well, no one's giving them any answers. They're just going, oh, I don't know, more solar panels, but you don't use gas or oil now. I guess they could charge up their car and sit in their car where it's heated. I don't know, and that's mean to say, but yeah, that's it. That's it. And it shouldn't be happening like that. We should have worked all the bugs out first, then decided to do solar. Uh, okay, so um, Harvey Weinstein is back in the news, and it's because he don't want to go to the dentist. He said he's Weinstein himself pleaded with the judge after being wheeled into the courtroom, um, and they say clad in prison garb. The situation is an emergency, he pleaded. I will pay for the dentist, but it'll only be a 1 day trip. And so he could pay for the transportation and the dental work, but there would still be manpower requirement for Los Angeles and the sheriff to make the request that's so abnormal. Um, he doesn't look good. I mean, he's about the same size. He just looks real tired. Um, he said the former Hollywood Titan's teeth can be pulled while Weinstein is behind bars, but jail dentists will not provide replacements. So now he's all upset about it, and he is spouting to the judge that it just leaves gaps or his gums to rot in place, and that the coverage that he has while he's in prison should have a dentist come in and do exactly what he wants. And he says now this has ended up being a violation of his constitutional rights. He said, this will be ridiculous. And why can't they just replace them? And so he's now scheduled to go to trial October 10th. We don't want him ill kept like the rest of the prisoners. He needs to be taken care of, according to his lawyer. So, boy, no, when he wanted out to go, it was like, no, no, you could deal with the prison dentist to come in and take care of you and then go from there. Uh, oh boy, I think he's just trying to get a free ticket to get out for a day. Um, and that, the article even went on to say, is he whining he was begging, and they said he was almost to the point of crying, whining, and even uh, tears, everything he could do to try to get off the base or get off the out of the prison. I'm sorry. Um, so um, Now, the next one, boy, you guys, this one really amazed me, this story here, because we hear so much about the white supremacists in this country and how, well, they're blaming us for it. But before they accused us of it, they were saying there was so many of these white supremacists, domestic violent extremists, white supremacy. And so, the when Biden got in office, he sent the FBI to go find him, and not only that, I believe even top uh, Democrat politicians went and had him looking for him. So what they did is they said, but there's a problem. And their whole investigation, because you can even look on the FBI site, and the most wanted is white supremacist. Well, and what got me to pull this is because I went yesterday, I believe, and looked. And instead of in one or two place, it's like in 20th place. And so when I read on it to see what was going on of the white supremacy, thinking maybe they had a bunch in jail. Well, no, they don't even have that. They have explained they have an extreme shortage in white supremacists in this country. Uh, they said, it's they went to look for them, and the question is, what threat? They said they have been through the country and back again with a sweeping strategy uh, and ready to go in with guns blazing. And when they show up to where these white supremacists are, it's a handful of either old men and old women. They're not finding skinheads. They're not finding. When they asked where the skinheads were, they sent them down to the South, Alabama, Georgia, and they said, "Oh no, they've all got tired of doing that, and the whole white robe, and pretty much all of them are uh, going with the Dixie Mafia." Well, the Dixie Mafia is not white supremacist. They have all kinds of nationalities. So the agents are now revealing, and this is the FBI, that there's no white supremacist out there, or there are, but it's not the big threat like they've been told. And they've investigated it, and they just seem to think that it's starting to be a washed up cult. Um, so that's why they're calling us white supremacists. How white are we? How many people are really white in this country? I mean, even we've even had Democrats stand up in front of the press saying, we're all nationalities. We all come from another country. We all got mixed races. Um, so who's actually white? Do we do? I mean, they did the ancestry, and if they're going to start saying we have a white supremacist problem or a white problem, shouldn't they show the stats and the data, which they're not going to do? Um, Now, really, how many people are actually white? I'm not. I've got, oh boy, I think I'm 57. I got a little bit of everything. I know a European, and my dad told me a little bit of Jewish. Um, we have, since we were in California, a little bit of Spanish. We have California Indian, um, and also African American in my family. My dad's family was from the South, and they did own slaves. So, Karen, are you pure white? How about Karen? Who else is in here? What about Susan or Linda? Um, are we, and get this, they're even saying that some of the slaves that come out that in their lighter skin, they have more white genes in them than African American. So who's white? You know, so they didn't find any white supremacist. So now I guess they're going to have to come up with something else. Uh, and we should all be getting along anyway. Why is this? Their new rallies that are going through is United We Stand. We're not. We're far from being united. Um, uh, and it's not that of the races, it's the political parties that are divided. And this was something that was mentioned by Mark Levin the other day on a show. And he said, they're doing the United We Stand, but it's not that they're playing it out like we're racist or we're against the LGBTQ, whatever. He says it's a political division. And it's two parties that have now divided to where there is one hateful side and one that is just being tolerant. And of course, we've seen Biden get up and say we're the hateful and we want to rise up and we want to hurt people. And it's only because they got to flip it to show that we're the bad ones, so they don't lose Democrat votes. Oh boy, I don't know if I could say that the V word. So that's what's really going on is they're trying not to lose their political party altogether. So let's see, Cherokee, English, Dutch, and a pinch of German. See, you see, you're not white European. I think you have to be white European to be white. Um, and so I don't think anybody is. We are all, um, we're all God's children. There you go. And what's that song? Jesus loves the little children, and we're yellow, pink, and white. And I think that's all it is. We're just a mixture of everything. And at the end, it is not going to make a difference. It's just not going to make a difference. Except we got to get the political parties to stop. We need to be, it's okay to disagree. It's okay not to agree and believe what the other person has to say. I do that with my friends. There's stuff they say, and I really don't agree, but they're not a Democrat. Or they're an independent or a Republican. You don't have to always agree. So, all right, I'm gonna move on. Um, uh, TikTok, it's refusing to cut off its data that flows to communist China, where China could take our information if you use TikTok. They said that it's in place, it's part of the 5G program, and that they will not refuse to cut off the data flow that goes to China to tell them what we're up to. Um, oh boy, here we go again. Um, Regulators overlooked in this crucial detail about electric cars, and they have lethal results. Um, the thing is these batteries, and you're going, oh, okay, here's the batteries. No, the thing is the weight of the batteries. It's making these cars very heavy. So if it hits somebody or runs into another car, it is very heavy and very destructive. And not only that, they said there is even a chance the car will blow up. You remember what was it, the Pintos or Pacers or one of them, that if you hit the back of it, it would explode because the gas tank? Oh, that's the same way with these batteries. If you hit them just right, it could explode. Is there a recall? Nope, nope. They're not going to do a recall. And this really upsets me because uh, too many times we ride with our kids in the cars. All the stuff I've told you these cars do. I mean, even burning houses down. There could be children involved in all of the situations that you can think of that these EV cars are doing with no recalls whatsoever. Was it the Pacer, Pinto? I had a Pinto, and I thought that's what they said about mine. Um, Yeah, my first car was a Pinto. Yes. Um, but the whole thing is having children involved, and this could be very deadly. And they said when these cars hit another car, it's very devastating because they're of the weight of the car, and the vehicle is um, uh, they really all the overall electric cars aren't all that green. They are uh, what you call waste because cobalt is a waste. I'm going to do a little bit on cobalt tonight if you guys want to hear about it. It's going to be on my um, corruption show. A little bit, just a little bit on it because of the children are now we're having. Um, they say it's at uh, a pandemic level of the poisoned with the kids, and they're becoming. There's birth defects. There's cancers. Um, they're seeing cancer in kids so young. So and they all for the car and our phones. Um, They say that the green future, the left is waterboarding it to accept um, this dark side of EV cars that has never been looked into, nor have they even um, tested them for a long period of time. I think Ford is the one that's stepping forward saying, you know what, we have to test our stuff. We've always had to test our cars to make sure they're safe and they're approved. Not the EV cars. They're not being checked. They're not being tested to see if they could be approved for a safety. They're just putting them out. Don't matter what uh, the car is. Don't matter whether it's the cheaper ones to the expensive ones. Nobody's testing their cars out. And so, uh, and they said there has been a pickup of people buying them, but according to the dealerships, and they did a poll, most people have come in and said they are forced to buy one. It's not they want to, they're forced. So, all around, like I said, the Green Deal is tumbling down. Um, and now these cars aren't worth it. And the more that comes out on it, the more people don't want them. That was the other one that uh, they did a poll on how many people have heard about the troubles and the safety issues with these EV cars. And 80% of them said they had been watching. Now they said how many that haven't bought one, and the crowd, it was like 90, about 90%. So we know people aren't really buying them. And then they said, is it over a safety concern? And almost 100% said yes. So see, it's only hurting them. This is just hurting them. They're not getting nowhere with these cars. Um, the judge names special master in Trump FBI case, and he has denied the use of, oh boy, um, I got pop ups all over. Um, and this was District Judge Eileen Cannon, and she appointed New York Judge Raymond Dearie to a special master to independently review documents the FBI took from Trump's Florida Mar-a-Lago. Um, Deary came alongside with a separate ruling that denied, now listen to this, the Department of Justice requested to continue its very own review of the documents. And her response, the court does not find appropriate to accept the government's conclusion on these important and disputed issues. And without further review by a neutral third party in expedited and orderly fashion. Um, basically, and not only that, but they can't, they wanted to only give them part of it, but now they have to give everything. And they wanted to keep some of the stuff that they haven't been able to look to, that was denied. And also for them to look into uh, the reasoning and explanations of why they took these items. And there has to be an explanation, not just the list. So, um, um, your car will be 23 years old. Is yours one of those ones they hook that thing in the front, Karen, and you wind it for it to start? You know, they had those back in the early 1900s. You know, she's gonna throw popcorn at me. You know the handle that you crank it, and then you just push the little button and it starts. That's what we need, folks. We need some of them cars back. Uh, so, um, Come to find out, the judge did side with him, and not only that, um, this is Deary is one of President Reagan's appointed Deary to the bench in 1980s, and he has served as a New York judge until um, he retired. But then now he's got substantial judicial experience. See, I thought they were going to put Kenneth Starr, but he's not really a judge. But then now we've lost Kenneth Starr. Um, And not only that, but they're starting to find, well, this judge, when looking at the evidence, basically said that there's some things in there is very questionable. So um, they said each of has a substantial judicial um, experience during they have presided over federal and criminal cases, and this one has, and uh, that both sides have used dairy in many occasions, so there shouldn't be any feedback from it. And of course, well, then of course they did, and they were fighting for the materials not to be seen. And that's when the judge kind of looked at it, and it looks like they want explanations more of what they took. And they can't hold on to any of the items and say, no, you can't look. So this is good news. So Trump did win over on that, but we'll just have to wait to see what happens and what comes out of it. Um, there also a bad news on Durham. Um, he's basically failing to bring the collusion cabal to justice, and this is what's coming out of his office, and to the because of um, just the data that has disappeared, that disappeared from the Mueller case, and not only that, but I think his name's Weissman. He had a bunch of documents. A lot of this stuff is disappearing. Um, and now it seems to be that he's failing to bring collusion, um, a, a, a collusion with the cabal to justice. And not only that, but the people that working in his office seem to have worked on other cases or have been a part of an investigation, so they can't even be go into court to be the prosecutor on some of these cases. So um, I don't know. It didn't say that he's totally stopped. It didn't say he's quit. It didn't say he wasn't going to go forward. It just said he's really failing to bring some of these FBI guys to justice. Um, all right. I'm wondering if Susan is in here. Bizarre push at the schools. You, I can't believe this one. Uh, okay. How did Star die? Complications and surgery. And it didn't really say what he had that he was going to have. The first thing I thought of was Joan Rivers when they said complications and surgery, and I went, oh no, I'm still not decided. There was too many archetypes here, and he was one that really embarrassed the heck out of Nadler during and what he was used for. You've seen him in the impeachment of Trump. Before that, he has always been um, worked close with Tom Fenton. He helped Tom Fenton with a lot of stuff that the Clintons did, and even moving into Obama. And he also was one during the Clinton impeachment that put Jerry Nadler to shame over what he was doing, and thought he was more uh, off the record. He said he thought Jerry Nadler was a pervert for just dealing with Monica Lewinsky's stain on her dress, wanting to know what the stain was. Oh, good grief. And then when he found out, then okay, okay, and then he just wanted to talk about the dress, and it wasn't about Chinagate. It wasn't about Whitewater. If you guys don't know what Whitewater was, it's where they had a big plot of land, and you know how you put subdivisions out and then you sell either the lots or the houses that are on there. Well, he sold them, but they never built them. They sold the houses but never built the houses, and they walked away with all the money. That's what Whitewater was about. And see, they should be charged with that. And they should have been impeached over that, not Monica Lewinsky's dress. And it should have been about Chinagate. And I told you the other day about Chinagate. Um, okay, Susan, this next one is for me and her. Um, the Democrats have had a change of heart and on some food. And now they're saying that they're going to promote and encourage that childhood obesity, um, that featuring a better nutrition. And they say that better nutrition would be something filling that's in the morning, not just an apple or an orange. And the schools really want to bring in uh, a a breaded substance. Boy, Susan, wait till you hear this one. That would fill the children up and make it through the morning classes until they have lunch. Well, they're saying that donuts don't cause obesity in children or adults. They said actually it's a nutrition a nutri- it's it's full of nutritions and that little bit of sugar to help you get through the morning. Uh, so yes, and there's a video that's published on human relations that they want this to be part of the food industry, and according to uh, the LA Union for the schools, it's um, and so now LA parents that belong to the parents union are saying this is a bad idea. That this is just hogwash. It's based on false standard information. And they showed them that begins with a woman offered a plate of iced donuts to kids. And uh, oh no, not only that, but what about flour? I mean, some kids can't have flour, but they're going to offer it in the schools. Yeah, it don't cause obesity, folks. Donuts are good for you. I used to give my kids pie in the morning, but my aunt did that when I was with her. Of fruit pie like apple pie or cherry pie in the morning. Um, with orange juice or a glass of milk. But never donuts. I mean, she would never let me have donuts. So yeah. So I thought Susan would get a kick out of that one. Um, boy, I tell you. Um, so the diet culture, fat phobia, and systems of oppression have created false heresies of food that show up everywhere. And remember that you do not need to earn food. Eat without guilt, regardless of what society says, was this motto for the donut. For the donut. Oh boy. I thought they were wanting us to eat better and not do the cow thing and eat all the greens and become a vegan and eat better and we feel healthier. Now they're saying, oh no, have a donut, have a donut. Ah, boy, I tell you. So, uh, all right. uh, it's going to I'm hoping ding dongs and ho hos are next. Yep, I'm really hoping that. All right. There's been, I know I have given the news report on Jackson, Mississippi with the water. You remember it went bad? Well, that was many, many weeks ago. And I went back and looked, and it's about 5 weeks since that water went bad in Jackson, Mississippi. And I keep an eye on it because it's so close Mississippi's right there next to us. Well, now they're doing a boil notice. And a lot of the people said they feel it's a little too late. Um, the boil water, they said, here they put it into place, and then 2 days later, they lifted it. Um, and they said, where was the boil order a month ago? They put it out, and then the following day, I think they said they have restored clean water. Um, so there's concerns now about the copper and the lead levels in the Jackson water, and they said people should continue to avoid using city water to prepare for baby formula, and that if it's going to be drinking it straight out of the tap, they don't advise that. And so the raw water entering Jackson's treatment plants that showed that the treatment process depleted supplies in the water tank caused a drop in pressure. So the water pressure drops possibly that the untreated groundwater can enter that system and crack pipes. And so the customers were told to boil the water to kill potential harmful bacteria. bacteria. So now it's got the Jackson, Mississippi people confused. I wish someone from Jackson would get a hold of me so I can find out exactly, because they're saying, okay, it's okay. No, it's not. Yeah, we got the water back up and going, but you might have to boil it for. They're saying anybody with severe health problems, baby formula, anyone over the age of 60. There's just too much, or young kids that to get bottled water or boil your water. So boil. The thing is do they boil it or not boil it? And many of the people in the city are very upset about that. So I don't think we're going to know for a while. Um, oh boy. I should have had this one this morning. China seeks to legislate, they want the extinction totally, to totally exterminate, kill to the extinction of mosquitoes, to completely eradicate mosquitoes. And the proposal was swatted down by China's National Health Commission, which pointed out that killing every mosquito in China is not feasible. Um, I guess this, I don't know if this is Jinping that wanted this or not, but they say that the mosquito can basically carries too many diseases, and it goes person to person, and it'll transfer the blood to blood. And so they say that they need to get together, and the World Health Organization and the CDC to come up with a way to totally eradicate the mosquito. So, yeah, boy, we're different news this morning, folks. This is definitely different from what's on the news. Um, so that yeah, they want to get rid of the mosquito. Um, U.S. and China, both the experts that got together here a month ago, and they have been discussing over the phone, they said, or online, of what's going on with this U.S. China war that's going to maybe be starting. And they say that both sides that been put together and been trying to discuss no war, they just can't come up with uh, common ground. And so they basically said that if they don't start, um, if China and Russia, uh, um, if they don't work this out, then it could be a bloody disaster. And I was thinking, boy, that sounds like Nick. Um, and they say the Senkaku Islands, um, are under the Secretary of Defense policy that during Trump administration said could serve as a flashpoint for the conflict when China attacks. And I was like, okay, well, why are they doing that? And see, the problem is the Indo-Pacific. The closer you get to China, the more concentrate its military assets are. And so now they're looking at uh, if the United States goes over there and gets too close, then that gives them the reason to defend themselves. So they say no matter what, they don't see them coming to a common ground on not having a war. And so they said both sides have agreed that it's not going to work. There's not going to be a common ground, and this is going to be a deadly war. So I, um, yeah, and I was going to send this to William and see what he thinks on this, because the last 2 decades, um, they have been, the United States has been very passive. And they say China's the ones that's coming out aggressively. But however, now that what's coming out is we're not being um, And we're not being passive, we're being very aggressive, according to China. And this is something that he hasn't seen, and that many powerful politicians over here need to watch out. And I knew that was going to happen, folks. I knew it. Uh, and what I mean by that is we start acting up. I think China and Jinping is going to start handing over documents of what they've been doing over there. And I think he's got that little bit of power over the top of these politicians, where they're just not letting anything happen. Like, look at all the hearings that should have been done against China over the last at least 4 years. That Pelosi will not let go into hearing. Um, they also is saying that U.S. military ability to counter the missiles has got Xi Jinping basically on a hostile run. Not that he's trying to, oh, wait a minute, now they might have something better than us. No, it angers him and he pushes forward to get the better of us. So it's just saturating uh, the whole point of that there's going to be some form of attack. When asked, is this going to go into a nuclear war? See, that was mine. Um, it was no, that they want either a ground war or nothing to go above a supersonic rocket. So it's just like me and William has discussed on our Wednesday shows but can you trust them? Can you trust North Korea and Iran not to shoot the missiles? Um, we can't. Can we even trust um, even some of our allies not to cause problems? Or what about even us? What about a rogue uh, military member on globally? It doesn't matter whose army, whose military that could push the button. This is something that we can't be. You can't sign a paperwork and say it ain't going to happen when we don't know. The individual that would make the choice on their own and make bad choices. So, um, all right, I think there's a few more here. Um, um, Now this here, uh, it really surprised me, and this is the last one. Is Marines Corps are planning for wars where robots kill each other. Remember, we were talking about the walls the other night with mine and William's show with the drones and the robots. Well, now Marine leaders are laying out a more detailed and more concrete vision for the use of unmanned platforms, and that they are now teaching these robot-driven supply lines and the robot itself in combat to basically to exterminate the other robot, and only if it's a robot, though, they say. I'm not sure how they would tell the difference between the two, but that's what they say. And they're looking at a future where robots will be used to go on a lethal mission. And if they run across one, they are uh, to kill them, basically. So seeing the two robots fighting with each other the other day, that's a good possibility. So, all right, folks. I do have a show tonight, Corruption Files. And please subscribe and share and hit that bell if you're not getting notified. And if you see anybody from Investigator News 2 that hasn't found us yet, please let them know. Over in Facebook, you're going to follow and hit the like button. You, you still don't like it, huh? Um, Yeah, because we don't know what those robots are going to do, Karen. And you're right. If we teach them to kill, how do we know that they know for sure that that's a robot and not a person in a suit, or want them unmanned vehicles? How? What about the ones that are manned? Are they going to see it? Are they going to know the difference between the two? So they're going to have to make some really smart robots. And of course, now they're saying they're going to get them to kill each other. All right. So, with that, I thank everybody for watching, and I love the support. And We'll be back tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern Time with Corruption Files. And you already know, I'm going to talk a little bit on cobalt. So um, be sure to come back and watch. And so with that, we will say have a wonderful Friday. Have a good weekend. And if you can't make it tonight, then come on back tomorrow night for some trivia. So God bless, and we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.